Come on.
Listening? I can't believe I let you talk me into this. Seriously, right? Yeah. Wow.
We're listening to Martial Secrets with Lawrence Kane
And
Kris Wilder, who sounds suspiciously like your announcer.
Welcome to Martial Secrets. I'm Lawrence Kane.
I'm Kris Wilder, and yeah, welcome to Martial Secrets by gum.
Who says that?
So my pappy says it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about a couple things. I think we got 4 things on the docket today. When a stranger calls to talk about his knees.
That's an interesting one. Should I train if I'm ill?
The brain types and the Myers-Briggs test.
And Ice Cube, baby. Ice Cube.
Ice cube to your head. Hey, what do you think about my cool sweatshirt I'm wearing? Am I hip like the kids today? I mean,
I would say no, but you know.
All right. Well, I that's the weird thing is it always disturbed me as a child when, like as a teen, when my parents started wearing similar clothes. It's like they'd wear the same sneakers, and it's like, no, don't do that. Or they try to use my my lingo.
Yeah.
They'd start saying things like, they copy you, and it was like, oh man, that is not even remotely cool. you just stop that. Well, you need to know your age.
That's right. Well, I will say, Kris is wearing a Wisconsin Snowcats football shirt, and it's a nice shirt, but it's yellow.
77 to 78, Division II.
That's right.
Yeah.
It
Anyway,
really needs to be W. Husky's shirt, but I don't think he'd be caught dead with that.
No. Well, let's just talk about that now so that people understand this. In Washington State, which is where Lawrence and I live, there is a massive division between the state in regard to its football and its universities. And it is a blood rivalry. It is ugly. It is bitter. I mean, it's to the point, Lawrence, where I look at people, like you ever see those couples in the stands where like somebody, the husband's wearing the Cougar outfit and the wife's wearing the Husky outfit. And I'm looking at them going, how does that kind of marriage work? I don't understand. How can you possibly do that? So anyway, I guarantee you, as you go through the listening of Martial Secrets, you will continually hear this reference between this Apple Cup rivalry dropped numerous times, and to the point to where you're going to understand more about the Cougar Husky rivalry than possibly some of the people in the state themselves. I mean, that's just it. How we remain friends, I don't know. It's but anyway,
diversity, baby.
this guy emails me, and we wind up having a phone conversation, and he was talking about standing in a stance that was really kind of knock-kneed and not he didn't think was a very good stance, and to the point to where he works at a hospital, and he went to one of the physical therapists or orthopedic. I guess it was an orthopedic doctor, and said, "Hey, I'm doing this. What do you think of it?" And the response was, it's probably not the best thing to do, but if you're doing it for a limited amount of time, it's probably okay. Well, and that makes sense, but let's take that and aggregate it over 20 years of training.
Yeah, I mean, how long do you if you study martial arts, you could be doing this for the rest of your life if you like it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be 40, 50, I don't know how old the guy is, but, 60, 70 years, they can add up.
Yeah, and I remember we would do bunny hops down at the judo dojo, and basically you get on your toes, you squat down on your haunches so that your butt's touching your heels, you interlace your fingers behind your head, and you start hopping, and you hop around the dojo.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys is a orthopedic surgeon, actually, and he says, hey, that's kind of bad. And that was it. We were done doing it. And
You know, you need to have a little background on this. So the Seattle Dojo, it's the oldest judo dojo in Washington, and the guy who ran the place.
No, it's the oldest judo dojo in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. I learned something today.
Yeah.
So, oldest judo dojo in the United States, and the guy who ran it at the time that we trained was Kenji Yamada, who was also the highest-ranking black belt in judo in the United States at the time. At least when I was training with him, he was.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
And amazing guy, but he was very, very old school. I mean, so this is the traditional Japanese style approach. You know, I say, you do, no questions. You know, and yet when this doctor said, hey, this is not, this traditional training method is not good for the body, it stopped.
Yeah,
it's pretty remarkable. Really.
Well, and they found another way to do it. And I guess what the moral of the story is that if you've got somebody who is, old school teaching that is flexible enough to say, oh, we have empirical evidence that this is no longer good, we won't do it anymore because it damages you, that's a pretty big statement. So to get back to this conversation with this guy, it gets to the point to where he asks his instructor about it. And he says, well, we're kind of standing this way, and this is what this orthopedic surgeon said. And do you know what the instructor's response was?
No.
It was, you need to reconsider your commitment to this art.
Ouch. Wrong instructor.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said, wrong instructor. Because there wasn't any exploration about it. It was like, well, it's this way or the highway. And,
yeah, there's a big responsibility when you're teaching this stuff, and it might be this is a traditional way this thing's been done for the last 5,000 years or whatever. I'm making numbers up, but that doesn't mean that we don't learn more through medical science, that maybe there's other alternatives that are better. I mean, you don't want to be training something that's going to ruin your body.
Well, it is as if, let me put it this way. There's no sense that part of your existence should be frozen in time. Well, this is the way we've always done it, so we'll always do it this way. Not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not saying that you should discount history or, not be standing on the shoulders of those that have come before you, but, if you've got empirical evidence, medical empirical evidence, I mean, it used to be back in the day, smoking, it aids digestion.
There you go.
Oh, man, there's a smoker's hack for you. Not that I do, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I've been working on my improvisational acting.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's, much of the traditional martial arts is really, really good. I mean, that stuff wouldn't still be around today if it didn't work. But some of the underlying training techniques aren't necessarily the best way to build the strength, flexibility, coordination, or whatever it is that you're trying to get to, to be able to use those traditional methods as some of the things that have come out more recently.
Yeah. So be smart. Listen to the pros when they got something to say. You can, I think that there is a lot of intelligence shown when somebody is able to explore an option or a different way of doing things with the assumption that they're not necessarily going to accept it, or they may accept it, but they're going to at least explore it and find out. Hey, Lawrence, I'm not feeling really good, man. Should I go to the dojo tonight?
Probably not. Depends on what's up. But, if you're sick, especially if you're contagious, why would you want to go in and make everybody else sick?
So training tip, this episode, this issue, I sound like I'm in print, don't I? This episode is should I train if I'm ill? And I think the answer is no.
Not the traditional go into the dojo and work out kind of thing. That doesn't mean you can't be reading a book. Doesn't mean you can't be doing some research. It doesn't mean you can't be doing some visualization. But you know what? If you're not feeling good, not only are you not going to perform as well, not only might you hurt yourself, not only might you make everybody else sick, but you know what? You're not going to be as effective anyway.
Well, how about the fact that I'm just freaking miserable, and there's no point in doing it. I mean, I just think that's I can tell you back in the day when, we were doing the nail biting, fire breathing training and everything. It was a big, it'll work it out of you and stuff. I don't know. It's the same. It's like the same guy that told me, he says, you got a head cold. This is what you do. You go get yourself a bottle of port wine and you heat the port wine up and then you put cinnamon in it and you drink that and it'll take care of your cold. Well, it did. It made me drunk. I'll have another one. And at a certain point, you're like, I don't know that this is really making me better, but I'm not feeling as much pain. So, probably a wives' tale and probably not the best thing to, do the port winery. But I mean, really, honestly, I just think it's a really simple answer. It's stay home and get well. Exactly.
Yeah, you're going to do a lot better if you're in good shape when you're going into the dojo. And if you're really serious and you really want to learn some stuff, get some sleep and pick up a book on your art or watch a DVD or whatever before you go to bed early. But it doesn't mean you need to be down there punching, kicking, and infecting everybody else.
So at the end of the day, the training tip should be: should I train if I'm ill, Sensei? No. Now it's time for At the Dojo.
At the Dojo.
Brain types. I'm really big on brain typing. I'm really big on that aspect of training. And I got turned on to it years ago by a book called Your Key to Sports Success by Jonathan P. I think it's Neednagel. It's Niednagel. And basically it's using your unique brain type to maximize athletic performance. So it's Myers-Briggs. Lawrence, why don't you explain what Myers-Briggs is to those folks out there that might not be aware of it, and then we'll talk about this.
Sure. So Myers-Briggs is a way to identify what your type is, and that's capital T type, in a way that's something that's useful for you to actually do things around leadership style, around the way you learn, around the way that you interact with other people. And it's a psychological thing. Isabel Myers and I forgot what the Briggs first name was, but they came up with this way of identifying kind of how you think along and what your personality type is along, say, for example, being being introverted or extroverted. Right, that's one of the factors that they use. Mm-hmm. Another factor is thinking and judge versus judging, and so on and so forth. So they have these different parameters, and the cool thing about that is you can take this relatively simple test, doesn't take very long, and it will give you some options. You pick between the options, and it lets you chart out what your type is.
Yeah, the test is really, I don't think it takes 5 minutes to take it.
I think there's multiple versions of it, but yeah, the quick version, it's 5 minutes, and it helps you figure out what your type is, and then it gives you a bunch of practical advice in terms of, what you're naturally good at, how do you naturally take to certain things, and it gives you some stuff about how to use that, how to use it in interacting with other people, and how to use it in excelling in sports. It's pretty cool.
I don't know that they're using this guy's book, Your Key to Sports Success, or his methodologies in the NFL, but they do a test at the Combine for the National Football League that sort of shows their brain aptitudes. And if I remember, Vince Young didn't do really well on that, and he was still hired by the Tennessee Titans, and now he's gone. After a pretty big public, we're not telling any secrets here. It was a very public blow up with the coach as well as some fans, I believe. And, that just goes to show you that at least in this instance, there is some validity to the types of testing that they're doing in regard to brain behavior.
Yeah, there is. And, in my day job, one of the things that we do, as managers is we'll do something like Myers-Briggs or Insights or one of these similar kinds of things to understand the personality types of the people that work for us and be able to help make sure that the team can work together well. Because you got some people who for example, are very introverted, and the rest of the group's very extroverted, and you have a staff meeting, you're going to find that the people who are introverted generally will not talk much. And if you don't set aside time and structure the meeting in such a way that they can participate, they're going to come away not feeling very good. Whereas all the people who are extroverted who are talking the whole time are going to feel like, hey, this was a great meeting. And it's just, understanding how to interact with people. Lots of businesses use this kind of stuff too. But I think the really cool application, and for the martial arts, of course, is this figuring out what your learning type is and how it affects your ability to excel in sports.
Yeah, I actually took the test into the dojo one time and had the students do the test so that I could see what I was looking at. Now, I took those types and I developed an average. It was kind of like, oh, gee, I've got an ESTJ dojo. And to translate that it would be what?
So E is extrovert.
S.
Now I'm trying to remember. T is thinking, and J is judgmental, and the S I'm forgetting.
Was it sensitive? I forget.
Sensing, yeah, that's right. Sensing versus feeling, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that was the average of the dojo. So that sort of allowed me to say, okay, I'm gonna go test this. All right. I mean, I'm gonna go test it by changing my method of instruction a little bit to accommodate that aggregate brain type. Mm-hmm. So follow me. And so what I did is I took this book, Your Key to Sports Success, and looked up that brain type and found out that from a physical standpoint, they were very good at the hand and eye coordination. They were very good at fine motor skills. However, that brain type also had kind of a narrow bandwidth of vision. In other words, that brain type makes a really good pitcher. They're like, yeah, man, that's my plate. I'm throwing the ball. I'm giving him the heat. I'm going to trick this guy, whatever it is, and it's all about that focus. And they make lousy shortstops because they don't have the ability to make a lot of decisions on the fly.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, okay, great. I've got people with a high aptitude of motor skills and a narrow kind of worldview. And I don't mean that in a negative, in a pejorative. I mean, it's just that, they have an ability to focus on something that's very direct in front of them. Great. Now what I can do is I can teach to that brain type. And I started doing it, and I started getting some really exponential growth out of the students. It was really impressive. And I haven't done it recently, but I am going to do it again because the dojo constituency has changed.
Yeah, some of the people have changed, right.
But I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to revisit that because I think it's really I just think the world of it. I think it's just really successful. I find it fascinating, and I clearly find benefit in it.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's not just for instructors. It's for students as well, because you can really figure out some good insight into how you learn. And, if you're not getting what you need from the instructor, it helps you facilitate those conversations to say, hey, can you help me do things in this manner so that I can understand it better? And it really can be beneficial to everybody.
I had one of the students, one of the black belts. She actually finished and she was like the most rare brain type that there was. And I looked at it and I said, hey, look at this, and she looked at it and she goes, that's why nobody ever understands me. And I was like, wow, and it was an honest response. It was an honest test. And it was like, man, she's out there. So how do you deal with that? Well, I'll tell you what I did with that is I started using her as a resource because her brain type was so unique and so different from mine that it gave me an entirely different perspective on issues within the dojo. And so I would throw things up against her and say, what do you think? What's your take on this? Now, I've never really overtly told her what I was doing, but of course she appreciated being included in the conversation and so forth, but she came up with some really interesting perspective on things. I didn't always accept what she said, but man, it was worth listening to. Hey, Lawrence, it's free space. Yeah, free space time. This is ice cube to your head, baby. Actually, if your head is a board, why don't you tell us the story? Because it involves somebody who's really quite famous in the martial arts.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. So I went to this little martial arts seminar, God, what was it, 82, 81, something like that. And it's a week-long thing, and I was actually only there for 3 days.
Did you drive there by buggy and carriage?
Yeah.
82.
Yeah. I rode a horse both ways uphill. But anyway, so I was doing judo, and there's a bunch of different segments in there, and they had a guy in there, and his name was Stephen Hayes, and I had no idea who he was at the time, but he's up there.
He's only the uber ninja of all
yeah,
ninja.
Uber ninja.
Yeah.
But he was there, and he was doing this lecture thing, and it was during lunch.
Let me say this about Stephen Hayes, is that in case people aren't aware of him, I mean, in the 80s, you couldn't escape this guy. He was on the cover of magazines. He was doing art. I mean, he was a big deal. And he's kind of, I think, taken himself out of the public light here over probably the last decade or so. But in the day, man, when it came to ninjutsu, he was the king.
Yeah. In fact, I actually bought a bunch of his books after seeing his lecture because I thought he was really cool. But plus, ninja. I mean, 80s ninja. It's like, wow. Yeah. But so anyway, so this guy's up there and he's doing this little lecture thing during lunch, and it was interesting because they had a guy holding a pine board, and he
is this
up
like
there,
an assistant or something?
Yeah, like an assistant who's up there, and he'd stand there, with both arms extended, his stance braced and everything, like his break the board. He stands there, right?
Where?
And he's
off
holding
to the side of Hayes?
Yeah, just to the side, right? Yeah. And on the stage, it was kind of an elevated stage, but on the stage and off to the side, and Hayes is sitting there talking, right? And it goes on for 4 or 5 minutes, and the guy with the board, you just kind of blends in you just don't even notice he's there because he hasn't moved, he hasn't done anything. Yeah. And so anyway, the guy was talking, and he and this is a long time ago, so I don't remember exactly what he said, but the gist of it was he's also drinking water out of a glass every so often as he's talking. He says something along the lines of, anything can be used as a weapon. And as he's saying this, he reaches into the glass of water, he takes an ice cube out, cracks it a little bit in his hand, and jams the ice cube through the board. Mm-hmm. And because the guy holding the board is standing sideways, you actually see the ice poked through this board from one side to the other. And it was just like I'm sure there's some trick to it, but it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen at the time. It's like, wow, that guy just shoved an ice cube through a board. As he was saying, anything can be a weapon. I'm like, oh, that is just awesome.
And here you are, you remember it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And, in the intervening years, it's probably grown and gotten bigger. And, he flew when he was doing it, and there's lasers in his eyes. But, lasers. But no, I mean, seriously, I remember that little stunt. And there's another stunt where somebody broke a beer bottle with the side of his hand with a shuto. And those are the two really uber cool tricks that you can never use for anything, but they're just impressive and they'll stay with you, that I've seen it over time.
Yeah. And so back to the ninjutsu thing, where do you come down, ninjas or pirates?
Well, they did that on Deadliest Warrior, right? But
oh, did they?
Yeah, they did actually. But I got to say, I just think pirates are cool.
Yeah. How many times I've seen Deadliest Warrior? I mean, maybe twice.
Oh, okay.
Because I was visiting somebody and they had it on TV.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah. I mean, I think pirates are cool, but there's just something special about ninja. Guys who could walk through walls, or walk on water, or disappear in broad daylight, or whatever, and all the overblown stories about them. If I had to pick one or the other, I think the ninja is the most cool.
Well, yeah. See, because here's the deal: is that if I'm a real ninja, you'd never know it. But if I'm a real pirate, you'd know it.
There you go.
See, and that's the cool part is that because you're a ninja, you don't know that you're a ninja, and that's the super secret part. Man, the Matrix turns in on itself, dude.
There you go. I got to say, though, I do love Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but
I haven't seen those either.
Oh, you're missing out. But I mean, it's pretty cool. This whole what do they call it? The Secrets of the Shadow Warrior.
I gotta sound like such an out of the swim kind of guy. I've seen Deadliest Warrior once or twice, and then because I was visiting, so I haven't seen Pirates of the Caribbean.
I gotta say though, Deadliest Warrior actually takes mostly seriously.
Well, we're going to talk about
various
Deadliest.
arts. It's fun.
We're gonna review that stuff a little later sometime. So don't go.
We'll hold that. Okay.
Yeah, so hold that thought. Hey, listen. Thanks for being with us on Martial Secrets. If you want to get a hold of Lawrence, here's how you do it.
Easiest way is to go on to Amazon.com, search my name, Lawrence Kane, Kane with a K, find my author page, and you can see a very easy link to my email address, which you will not remember because it's complicated.
If you want to reach me, Kris Wilder, you can just go to the West Seattle Karate website, and you can email me through that website on the contacts page. Or you could do what Lawrence just talked about. You could go to Amazon. You can find me there. My blog is posted there, the striking post. You can also find that under Blogger if you want. And I've got a personal website which you can get if you sign up for the Martial Minute newsletter. But the easiest way to reach me is just go to westseattlekarate.com and email me through the website.
And of course YMA.com, since we're both
yeah,
authors
those
there, right?
guys too, who've only published like some of our best books.
Absolutely.
I forgot about them. That's going to make David our publisher happy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, listen, but I will say this, though, man. If you want quality and you want in-depth, you go to YMA. There's no question. That stuff is the most thorough stuff on the market.
I'm Lawrence Kane. Thanks for listening. Everybody be safe.
I'm Kris Wilder, and be well.
Nice work.
Hi, this is Kris Wilder from Martial Secrets. Martial Secrets is free, but it's not costless. So tell your friends about Martial Secrets. Your good words are the best endorsement we can have. Also, if you like what you hear, buy one of our books, buy one of our DVDs. We think they're pretty good, and we think you'll find value in them too. As always, we appreciate you listening and your support. You can find us pretty quickly by just going to Amazon.com, typing in Lawrence Kane or Kris Wilder, and you can find all of our books and DVDs there. Thanks for listening, and be well.